Can I ask you something personal? When was the last time you made a promise to yourself and kept it? Not to someone else, not because someone was watching, not because breaking it would have consequences anyone else would notice. Just you. A promise you made in private, to the version of yourself you were trying to become. And the harder question, how many of those promises are still waiting, still sitting somewhere inside you, quietly, like an unopened letter you keep moving from drawer to drawer but never quite throw away and never quite read. I want to talk about commitment today, not the motivational poster version, not the just believe in yourself and never give up version that sounds clean and costs nothing to say. The real version, the one that happens in the ordinary, unglamorous, deeply uncomfortable middle of things, when the feeling that made you start has completely evaporated, when nobody would blame you for stopping, and the only reason left to continue is the one you made to yourself, in a quiet moment that nobody else witnessed. His name was Daniel, and he was not special. I want to be clear about that. Not because it diminishes him, but because it is the most important thing about him. He was 38 years old, a father of 2. He worked long hours in a job that paid enough but cost more than money. He was tired in the specific way that middle life makes people tired, not from any one thing, but from the accumulation of everything. The years of small compromises, the gradual distance between who he was and who he had imagined he might become. At 38, Daniel decided he was going to write a book, not because he thought he was talented, not because anyone had told him he should, not because he had a plan or a publisher or any clear sense of what the book would even be about yet. He decided because one evening, sitting at the kitchen table after the children were in bed and the house had finally gone quiet, he felt something he hadn't felt in a long time, a pull towards something that belonged entirely to him. So he made a promise every morning, 45 minutes, before the house woke up, before the phone started, before the day took him apart and reassembled him into the version of himself that belonged to everyone else. 45 minutes, just to write. He told no one. The first week was extraordinary. He woke at 5 a.m. with something close to joy, that rare electric feeling of beginning, of being in motion towards something that matters. The words came imperfectly, but they came. He sat in the kitchen in the dark with the coffee going cold beside him, and he felt, for the first time in years, entirely and completely himself. The second week was harder. The feeling had faded, the way all first feelings do. The words came slower. The chair felt less comfortable. The bed felt more comfortable. He sat down on 3 of the 7 mornings, missed 4. And on the 4th morning he missed, he sat in that chair at the kitchen table, not writing, just sitting, and he felt the specific, familiar shame of someone who has made a promise they can already feel themselves about to break. He almost stopped there, almost. But here is what psychology understands about commitment that most motivational content gets entirely wrong. Commitment is not a feeling. This sounds simple. It is not simple. Because we are trained by every story, every film, every piece of content that wants to inspire us, to believe that commitment is the sustained presence of passion, that the person who truly commits feels it deeply every day, wakes with fire, never wavers, never doubts. But researchers studying long-term goal pursuit, people who actually achieved difficult things over years, not weeks, found something completely different. The defining characteristic of people who followed through was not the intensity of their initial motivation. It was their relationship with the days they didn't feel like it. Not whether those days existed, they always do for everyone, without exception, but what the person chose to do when they arrived. Psychologist Angela Duckworth, whose work on grit and perseverance has become foundational in this field, found that high achievers share one consistent trait. They have learned to decouple their behavior from their emotional state. In simple language, they do the thing whether they feel like it or not. Not because they are emotionally superior, not because they don't feel the resistance, but because they have made a prior decision, a commitment, that the feeling does not get a vote. The feeling is noted, acknowledged, and then set to the side, and the work begins anyway. Daniel sat in that kitchen chair on the morning he almost stopped. He did not feel inspired. He did not feel capable. He felt tired and slightly foolish, and very aware that nobody in the world knew or cared whether he opened that notebook or not. And then he thought something that changed everything. Not a grand thought, not something cinematic or quotable. He thought, I promised myself. 3 words, and something very quiet and very stubborn in him said, that should be enough. So he opened the notebook. He wrote 2 sentences that morning, both of them bad, both of them honest. And then the 45 minutes was up and he closed it and went to make breakfast for his children. But he had shown up, for himself, with no audience, no reward, no feedback, no evidence yet that any of this was going anywhere. He had simply done what he said he would do. Here is what commitment actually builds in a person, and it is not what most people expect. It does not build confidence first. It builds trust, self-trust, the specific foundational belief that you are a person who does what you say you will do, even when the person you said it to was only yourself. Research on self-efficacy, our belief in our own ability to achieve things, shows clearly that this belief is not built by success. It is built by the experience of continuing, of turning up for the process even when the results are invisible, of being, day after day, someone who keeps their word to themselves. And what happens, gradually, quietly, in a way you don't notice until one day you turn around and see how far you've walked, is that this self-trust begins to bleed into everything. The way you make decisions, the way you handle difficulty, the way you speak about yourself even inside your own head. Because somewhere deeper than thought, you know something now that you didn't know before. You know that you can be counted on by yourself. And that knowledge, earned slowly in 45-minute increments before the house wakes up, is one of the most transformative things a human being can possess. Daniel finished the book. Not in weeks, not in months. It took him 3 years and 4 months. 3 years of early mornings, of bad sentences and good ones, of weeks where life intervened and he missed days and felt the guilt and came back anyway. 3 years of the specific, invisible discipline of a person honoring a promise that only he knew existed. He published it quietly. It did not become a bestseller. It was not reviewed by anyone important. It sold a modest number of copies to people he mostly didn't know, who sent him occasional emails saying it had meant something to them. But here is the thing Daniel said when someone close to him finally asked what writing the book had done for him. He said, "It wasn't about the book. The book was just what I was doing while I was learning that I could trust myself again." I have thought about that sentence almost every day since I heard it. It wasn't about the book. It was about the 3 years of mornings, the 2 sentences on the hard days, the quiet, private, completely unwitnessed act of keeping a promise to himself over and over until it became not something he did, but something he was. So let me ask you again, the promise you made to yourself, the one sitting in that drawer, still in the envelope, still waiting. What if you don't need to feel ready to go back to it? What if you don't need the inspiration to return, or the perfect conditions to arrive, or anyone else to believe in it before you do? What if the only thing it needs is for you to open it tomorrow morning, even for 20 minutes, even imperfectly, even when nobody sees, and simply begin again? Not for the result, not yet, just to remind yourself of something you may have quietly forgotten, that you are a person who keeps their word, even to yourself, especially to yourself, because that is where it starts. That is always, always where it starts. In the small, private, ordinary act of showing up for the promise you made when no one else was in the room. Keep it, go back to it. Even today, even now, you made that promise for a reason, and that reason is still true. If this landed somewhere real in you, if there is a promise you made to yourself that you haven't kept yet, I want you to do one thing right now. Write it in the comments. Just one line. What is the thing you committed to that you need to go back to? Naming it here makes it real. And sometimes real is all it needs to start moving again. Like this video, if it spoke to something honest in you, it tells me to keep making content that goes this deep. Subscribe. Because every week we come back here with stories and psychology that treat you like the intelligent, feeling human being you actually are. And share this with someone who made a promise to themselves and needs a gentle reminder that it's not too late. Your promise is still waiting. Go keep it.